Hey everyone, we've just launched our SQL Editor, a built-in workspace where you can query, explore, and test your data in real time, right inside of your production environment. No more jumping between tools or waiting on pipelines. Write SQL, preview results instantly, and even run data quality checks before they ever hit production. Let's dive in. So jumping into Keboola, you can see we're just starting on the dashboard page here. So we want to go to start with our SQL Editor. We want to go to the workspaces. So you can see them on the top, kind of top middle of your screen there. So go to workspaces. And we want to create a workspace. So we're working with SQL, so we're going to choose the SQL workspace. So I'm going to open up a SQL workspace. I'm going to name this Video SQL Workspace. And of course, there's options for description, backend size. You can authenticate different ways. I'm just going to leave those as defaults for right now. Go ahead and click Create. And you can see this is spinning, so it's going to create that workspace for us that we can use. What's great about these SQL, like the SQL Editor and the SQL Workspace, is that it's persistent. So if you write code in there, that code's going to stay, which means you can come back to it the next day or in a week or something like that, and it's going to sit there for you, which is why we create the workspaces in this way. So this thing is spinning. Once it's done, we'll be able to click into it. It's done now. You can see it's switched over to active. I can click into it, and you can see we have some options here that we can do inside of. You can do your table input mapping or output mapping. That stuff will be, we can do that inside the platform. So let's go ahead and do that. Click Open SQL Editor. It's going to take us into our SQL Editor here, which is cool. So just kind of overview what's going on the screen. In the middle, obviously, is our code. So we're going to write some SQL code in there in just a moment. Up here on the top, you can collapse all your code blocks. If you have a bunch of code blocks, you can collapse it to look nice. You can copy SQL to a clipboard, so if you want to copy and paste it somewhere else, that's really easy for you as well. We have the run, and we have the option for you to save. Okay, over on the left side of your screen, you can see we have our Storage Explorer. So this is all the data that's in this specific Keboola project, right? So if I want to start doing some tables to work with, I can do Add Input Tables, and I have this data set that is zoo data. So I'm going to click that, Add Input, and you have the option to like do only the data that's changed in like the last 12 hours or whatever. I'm just going to load it all in. You can see there's those three tables. You can see the little orange dots, which says it's not loaded, it's just there. So now we can click Load Data, and so this is going to load the tables into our SQL Editor. That allows us to then query them and actually see the results of our queries once we start writing them. So see that that's loading up here on the top right now, and so it's just refreshing. And so, okay, now they're done. So now I can just write a simple, I'm just going to do like a simple select star. So select star from, let's just do zoo zones. Okay, give that a run. And you can see there is our data. So you can see there's all of our columns. There's the zone name, zone type, so on and so forth. Again, we're using zoo data here because I love zoos, but this will work for all of your data, obviously. I just thought we'd pick a fun little data set to work with here. So, okay, so it's selecting star from zoo zones. So now let's do an actual query here. So I'm going to grab it in my notes so you don't have to watch me. You don't have to watch me write a bunch of SQL. So there we go. I'm going to copy, paste that in. Perfect. So now you can see I have a second code block, and I'll come here and delete that in just a moment. I just want to show that you can have multiple code blocks here. You can give this a run now. Let's see, animal sightings. From animal sightings. Excuse me, I have to rename my table. From zoo animal sightings. Perfect. Zones does not exist. Okay, yeah. I just got to add zoo to all my tables, There we go. Now we run it, and you can see this thing is now, the query is now running. Listen, you got to make sure you name your tables correctly. Who would have thought? Anyways, so our data's in here. You can see we have this now. It's 3 columns with the zone name, the zone ID, and the average animals that are visible in each one of those zones. So you can see what we have here. Let's say I want to take this and create a table with it. So we can do that inside of our SQL Editor as well. So I can add in a create table, and I'm going to name this create table observation by zone as this. Go ahead and give this a run now. So this will generate that table for us. That's going to be inside of our storage, which is going to be great. So you can see table observation by zone successfully created, and we're going to see that pop up on the left side of our screen now, so that you can see there's our table, and you can see it has this QR, which is the table created as a result of a query. Okay, and you can see the other ones are defined in the input mapping. So that's great. So I can also go in here and actually add this into my storage. So this table name is observation by zone. It's going to go into the new bucket of Video SQL Workspace. You can do it incremental load if you want to. This table we just saw, it's not big enough to worry about that. So So we can go ahead and add that as an output, and that's going to work there. So good to go there. You can see that that's now defined in the output mapping. So now that table is going to go out to the output. So that works there. And of course, I can just look at this table if I want to as well, right? So add a new code block. I'm going to do select star from observation, make sure I can spell by zone. Perfect. There it is. Great. Go ahead and give that a run. And we should see, the exact same data we just saw because it's the same query. So that's great there. So that works. And just some other things to note before we pop out of our SQL editor is that, first off, we actually have a history of your queries down here on the bottom. So you can see the little play button for those are the ones that, actually worked. And then we have the little caution sign for the ones that didn't. So you can actually go back and say, hey, like there's an error here. And more importantly, you can actually go to query history and it's going to show you what changed in each one of the in those queries for each time that changed. So really good kind of version controlling there for you. I do want to show off if you want to collapse your code, boom, there we go. I'm going to actually come in here and remove these 2 blocks because we're going to pop out of here in just a moment. So I remove those 2 blocks of code. I'm going to save my queries. So let's say, for example, we have our query that works here. Now what we want to do is take that code and actually save it as a transformation so that we can then run it inside of a workflow, actually schedule it to run inside of an orchestration. So we can do that. So I'm going to X out of our SQL editor here, which is going to pop me back to that workspace page that we started at before. And you can see, first off, I want to note that is a table output mapping that we did inside of the SQL editor, which is really, really cool. You used to do that kind of separate, but now it's done inside the SQL editor. That just makes your workflows much more efficient here. And then you can do create new transformation. So I'll do video SQL, or I'll just name this Zoo SQL transformation. Perfect. Create the transformation there. And then boom, we come to our transformation. It already has our table inputs, has our table outputs. Click on the code here. There's our code that we had from inside of our SQL editor. So what's really, really cool about this is that we can experiment with our SQL inside of the SQL editor. Once we find something that works exactly like we want it to, it's a simple one click to get that into a transformation, and then at that point you can use that inside of your actual workflows and put it inside of a flow, which is really, really cool stuff. So we have our data here. I'm going to go ahead and give this a run. Just so it can run and that table can be made. There's a lot of cool stuff on deck. I can't wait to show all of it to you. I'll see you next time.